Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. My name is Federico Alejandro Zalazar, and in this video I'll explain to you the topic of count and mass nouns in both English and Spanish. First in English, later in Spanish, and finally I will make a comparison and contrast between both of them. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting with count nouns in English, we say that these are the type of nouns we use to refer to things that can be represented individually or things that can be counted. They are both available in singular and plural form. In the singular form, we use determinants such as articles or numerals, like and, one, two, among others, whereas the plural form can be subdivided into regular and irregular forms, like any other noun. So, in case the noun is regular, you should add an s or es suffix at the end, for example. And you can also ask about the quantity of a noun of this type by adding how many, with the condition that if you use this question with a countable noun in its plural form, you will find the quantity of the noun. And here you have some examples that says, she has 3 dogs, I own a house, I would like 2 books please, how many friends do you have? You have several pennies to study in our appreciation class. There are at least 20 Italian restaurants in Little Italy. In these examples, 3 dogs, a house, 2 books, how many friends, paintings, class, and restaurants are examples of count nouns in English. Moving to mass nouns, we can say that these are the type of nouns different from the other ones, in the sense that you should need to know that mass nouns are different from countable nouns in the sense that they do not have a plural form and they're used to talk about things that cannot be counted. So, if you try to say something like bloods of clothing, it will be incorrect. So the right way to say it is blood or clothing, because these nouns are known for not having a plural form. Because of this, it is normally confused with things such as compound nouns and irregular plural nouns, but you will find out that these ones are different. Mass nouns are different from compound nouns because compounds are just common nouns formed by many words, not just one, and it's different from irregular plural nouns in the sense that these are common nouns that do not have suffixes at the end to make the plural, does not have s or es at the end. For example, children, which is the irregular plural form of child, whereas mass nouns do not have plural forms whatsoever. Moving to Spanish, you will find out that Spanish and count nouns and English count nouns are pretty much similar. They don't have too many differences. And you will see what I mean when we go to the comparison and contrast in this video, but first we focus on count nouns in Spanish. You should know that this type of nouns is pretty much similar from the ones from English in the sense that they used to talk about things that can be counted or can be represented individually. They're only available in singular and plural forms. For example, you have una carta, 2 rosquillas, muchas pastillas. They used to talk about things or entities that can be separated into units. For example, cada paquete mini Jorgito trae 6 alfajores. And this type of nouns require the presence of a determinant or a determiner when they follow a verb in a sentence. In other words, when they act as their indirect object. Here you have an example that says, póngame una rosquilla y 5 buñuelos, por favor. From all of these examples, una carta, 2 rosquillas, muchas pastillas, 6 alfajores y 5 buñuelos, and una rosquilla, including una rosquilla as well, are examples of count nouns in Spanish. Mass nouns is pretty much the same thing as the ones we saw in English. Like mass nouns, also known as uncountable nouns, are the type of nouns that refer to things that cannot be counted or cannot be represented separately. And here you have another example that says consideración, café, justicia. They are only available in the singular form. For example, yo no tengo paciencia. They refer to things or materials that cannot be divided into different parts. For example, los ingredientes básicos son harina, aceite y azúcar. Like in the same vein as English, this type of nouns are not accompanied by numerical quantifiers like uno or 10. Instead, we use them alongside adverbs of quantity like poco, mucho, bastante, etc. in order to quantify these type of nouns. And here you have another example. Queda poca leche en la despensa. And also, when these type of nouns are following a verb as in a sentence, compared to the count nouns, these are not preceded by any determiner. articles, numerals, etc. For example, me hice mucha ilusión. After, as you can see all of these examples, you can recognize paciencia, harina, aceite, y azúcar, leche, and ilusión as más nouns in Spanish. We're moving on to the most important part of the video, that is comparison and contrast between English and Spanish. Starting with the comparison, we can say that both Spanish and English count them as nouns are used to talk about things that can or cannot be counted, as we have stated previously. Talking about count nouns individually, we say that in both languages, this type of noun is preceded by a determinant when they follow a verb in a sentence. And there is the example I just mentioned earlier, that says, póngame una rosquilla y 5 buñuelos, por favor, in Spanish. In English, I would like 2 books, please. In this case, the indefinite article in Spanish, una, numeral 5, are accompanying buñuelos, atinas there. And I would like 2 books, please. 2, the numeral 2 is accompanying books. And in this case, the main verb of the sentence are póngame and like. Countable nouns in English and Spanish are available in singular and plural forms, whereas mass nouns is only available in singular forms in both languages. And here you have several examples. Cada paquete de mini Jorgito trae 6 alfajores, where 6 alfajores is in plural, therefore it is a mass noun. Los ingredientes básicos son harina, aceite y azúcar, in which harina, aceite y azúcar are in singular, but because they are substances, they are mass nouns. They don't have a plural form. Moving to English, we have she has 3 dogs, in which dogs has an S suffix at the end, therefore it is considered a countable noun. Whereas in I don't have much patience, patience is in singular, but because it is an abstract idea, it is a mass noun. Moving to the contrast, we say that these 2 types of nouns in both English and Spanish have distinctions in gender, which is not possible in English. For example, when we say things like paciencia, el aceite, los alfajores, we will see distinction between masculine and feminine gender in these nouns. Whereas in English, when we say a house, the house, a class, the class, a lettuce, the lettuce, they have no gender distinction whatsoever. From a grammatical standpoint, when we talk about English regular countable nouns, we say that these are the type of nouns that require the use of suffixes like s or es at the end to make the plural. For example, if we add the s suffix at the end of restaurant, we make the plural restaurants, and the same thing happens with books. However, in Spanish, the problem is formed by making the change in the article. Is this type, in this case, the definite article. By changing the definite article el for los, we have the plural of sapo. In this case, el sapo becomes los sapos in plural. Finally, this type of nouns that are, when it comes to nouns that are considered countable in Spanish could be considered mass in English and vice versa. And here are 2 examples. Te doy un consejo and I will give you a piece of advice. 2 sentences that mean the same because they are equivalents. In the first one, te doy un consejo, consejo acts as a countable noun in Spanish, whereas in the second one, I'll give you a piece of advice. Advice is a mass noun in English. To round things up, why is it important to learn count and mass nouns in both English and Spanish? I will have seen here throughout the video the importance of learning count and mass nouns in both English and Spanish is noteworthy because, as we have seen, there aren't too many differences and they are very similar to one another. Watching this video could be very useful for you because you will have an idea of what these type of nouns are about, that is count and mass nouns. Also, you will be surprised to learn that these 2 types of nouns in English and Spanish aren't as different as you might think from the first glance, but you will be more surprised to learn that both English and Spanish are quite similar to each other. Watching this video with care and attention will be an important tool for you in your way of becoming a better English translator or English teacher in the near future. So that's all for today's video. I hope you have liked it. Please put a like and subscribe or thumbs up if you understand the video. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.